Browns fans, buckle up, because what we're about to see could be the most unpredictable and risky storyline in the entire NFL. Dillon Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, Joe Flacco, and Kenny Pickett, 4 quarterbacks, 1 job, and 0 clarity. But what's becoming increasingly clear from recent Browns OTAs is that Dillon Gabriel's name isn't just floating around as an afterthought, he's making a real impression. That's right, despite the whispers, the jokes, and the criticism about his height, Gabriel has shown flashes of insight that demand your attention. So let's break down everything we saw and heard straight from Browns camp and what it could mean for Week 1 and beyond. I'll give you all the details, but first make sure to hit that like button if you've been a true Browns fan for 16 plus years. It's great to see fans of all ages. The utmost respect. Now, I want to ask you something. On a scale of 0 to 10, how would you rate Kevin Stefanski as the Browns head coach? Comment below. Well, let's start with the elephant in the room. Height. Dillon Gabriel is 6 feet 4 inches, almost. And during OTAs, that wasn't just obvious, it was glaring. Reports detail one specific moment that epitomized the concern. Gabriel, for all his effort, tried to throw the ball over the line during a drill, but the ball was batted down by defensive tackle Mason Graham. The play didn't just end in a batted ball, it ended with coaches, players, and even reporters commenting on how small Gabriel looked behind the offensive line. One reporter was even caught on hot mic saying, "I'm taller than him." That's not the kind of backlash you want if you're trying to establish yourself as an NFL starter. But here's the twist. Gabriel knows this. The Browns knew this when they drafted him. And still, they brought him in. Why? Because height might be a limitation, but accuracy? That's where Dillon Gabriel shines. And Browns fans, let me tell you, this kid can throw. Multiple OTA reports highlight Gabriel's ability to place the ball exactly where it needs to be. Whether it's a back shoulder fade or a perfectly led slant across the middle, his touch and precision are next level. In today's NFL, where completion percentages are climbing and margin for error is shrinking, accuracy is everything. And if Gabriel has that elite ball placement, he's already ahead of the curve. Gone are the days when you could get away with completing 57% of your passes and still hold a job. Now, you need to live in the mid to high 60s just to be considered viable. This is why coaches are watching Gabriel closely. Because if Kevin Stefanski can mold the playbook to fit Gabriel's style, much like Sean Payton did with Drew Brees, another undersized but hyper-accurate passer, there's a real chance this offense could work. Remember how Payton simplified things for Bo Nix last year? Gabriel may need the same treatment, a streamlined playbook early on, scripted drives, clear reads. Let him get comfortable before turning him loose. If that happens, we might be looking at a quarterback who can quietly and efficiently lead this team, not as a highlight reel sensation, but as a smart, system quarterback who just doesn't make mistakes. That said, Gabriel isn't without competition. Shedeur Sanders is making noise, and not just hype. By all accounts, he played extremely well during OTAs, showing poise, confidence, and a clear grasp of the offense. Sanders is bigger, flashier, and some would argue has more upside. He also reportedly had the best overall performance of any quarterback not named Joe Flacco during camp. Yes, better than Gabriel, better than Pickett. That's not nothing. But here's where it gets even murkier. ESPN recently ranked the Browns quarterbacks during OTAs, and here's the order they came up with. Joe Flacco at number 1, Shedeur Sanders at number 2, Dillon Gabriel at number 3, and Kenny Pickett bringing up the rear. That's right, Pickett, the former Steelers starter, isn't even in the conversation. The buzz is that he might not even sniff the starting job this year. Which brings us to the man currently wearing the crown, Joe Flacco, a seasoned veteran, a steady hand, and someone who already knows Stefanski's system. He's also very honest about his role. In his own words, he's not trying to be a mentor. He's here to compete. At 39, he knows he's nearing the end, but he's not done yet. He's still slinging the ball like a pro, and the coaching staff trusts him. That's why most people, including this journalist, believe Flacco is your Week 1 starter. But then what? Week 6? Week 7? Week 8? That's where it gets spicy. If the Browns start slow, or if Flacco starts looking his age, the leash is short, and then, it's anyone's game. Does Stefanski stick with his guy, Gabriel, or does the front office, which may have had more say in the Sanders pick, step in and push their quarterback into the lineup? This is where internal politics start to play a huge role. As mentioned earlier, there's growing speculation that Gabriel was Stefanski's choice, safe, smart, system-ready. Sanders, on the other hand, may have been more of an Andrew Berry or even a Jimmy Haslam pick, high upside, marketable, and potentially a franchise face. That divide could create tension if things go sideways. And in Cleveland, as we all know too well, when things go sideways, they really go sideways. So let's sum this all up before we close out today's exclusive deep dive. Dillon Gabriel, short, accurate, and playing catch-up behind a more physically gifted rookie and a wily veteran. Shedeur Sanders, flashy, dynamic, and potentially being groomed behind the scenes for a mid-season takeover. Joe Flacco, the current starter, but one bad stretch away from giving up the reins. And Kenny Pickett? He might as well already be looking for his next team. This battle is far from over. In fact, it's just beginning. And whether it's Flacco, Gabriel, or Sanders leading the charge come week 6, one thing is certain, this quarterback room is the most unpredictable in the entire league. So Browns fans, we want your voice in this conversation. Who do you want starting week 1? And now we shift from speculation to implication, because what happens next in this Browns quarterback saga won't just shape the 2025 season, it will ripple through the entire structure of the franchise. Let's talk about what's truly at stake here. If Kevin Stefanski chooses Dillon Gabriel and things go wrong, it won't just be a failed experiment, it could be his job. Because this isn't 2020 anymore. There's no grace period, no wait-and-see buffer. He's coached this team into the playoffs, sure, but he's also now entering the most politically charged, high-pressure quarterback situation in his tenure. If he bets on Gabriel, and Sanders is the one lighting it up in practice, the front office and ownership might not just be frustrated, they might be ready to pull the plug. On the flip side, if Sanders starts and struggles, that's a direct blow to Andrew Berry and Jimmy Haslam, who are widely rumored to have pushed for Shedeur in the draft room. They're betting big on potential, big on upside, and as we've seen before in Cleveland, the minute politics start deciding who starts under center, chaos follows close behind. But there's another layer here we haven't yet addressed. What about the locker room? Veterans in that locker room want to win now. They're not here for rebuilding. They're not here for development reps. They're here to chase a title. And while rookies bring energy and hope, they also bring mistakes. If Flacco starts and the team is winning ugly, Stefanski might not dare to make a change, even if the front office is whispering behind closed doors. That decision alone, keeping a 39-year-old Flacco in to preserve chemistry, might buy Stefanski time, or cost him everything if it fails. And it's not just about winning, it's about identity. What kind of team are the Browns going to be in 2025? If it's a Flacco-led, veteran-heavy, grit and grind offense, then the window is now. But if the team pivots to Gabriel or Sanders early, they're saying to the locker room, to the fans, to the entire league, we're playing for the long game. That message matters, because once you start down the development road, it's hard to turn back. And don't forget about the fans. Browns fans aren't dumb. You've seen this movie too many times. You know when a QB controversy is real and when it's just a smokescreen. Right now, it's real, and the frustration comes from not just the number of quarterbacks being shuffled around, but the potential that this time, the Browns might actually have 2 young guys with real talent and still mess it up. If you're a Gabriel guy, you love his accuracy, his poise, his clean execution. He's the guy who can deliver a Kevin Stefanski game plan to the letter. But if you're a Sanders supporter, you see the flashes, the energy, the playmaking ability that simply can't be taught. He has it. The question is whether the Browns can get it to show up on Sundays. And again, let's be real. Kenny Pickett is likely out of the conversation. There's been no significant buzz around him in any of these OTA reports. He's trailing in reps. He's not making waves. He's not climbing the depth chart. It's clear he was brought in more as insurance than as a real contender. And with the way this competition is shaping up, he may never get a real shot in Cleveland. But someone we haven't talked about enough is the guy who's going to be taking handoffs from whichever QB wins this job, Quentin Judkins. Let's circle back to this rising rookie for a second. ESPN projected 922 rushing yards for Judkins, and while that might feel like a modest number to some, it would actually put him in rare company. Only 13